Okay. What's up, Internet? This is your boy Rob Coleman coming at you again with another episode of Are You Serious? And on today's episode, we are going to discuss the top 10 greatest horror franchises of all time. Ooh. Now, I think I may have picked a topic or subject that's actually too scary because I wasn't able to get anybody to come on the show today, except for one brave individual who ain't scared of shit. I want to introduce you guys to my guest this week. We're going to kick it for a little while here and discuss. But this man has been rolling with me probably since right before the pandemic. We've done a ton of shows together, virtually and in person. This man is like I said, absolutely fearless on stage, fearless in life. Just listen to any 5 minutes of his joke set, and you know who I'm talking about. I want you guys to welcome to the Are You Serious stage, my man, my friend, Marco Torres. Y'all, give it up for Marco.
What up? What up, Rob?
I got to get a little sound machine so I can add like applause or something like that, right?
Dude, next time I see you, I'll give you one of these.
Oh, you got one?
I got a bunch of them. This is what
Uh,
we used to use before I got a soundboard.
and Marco, you did your thing. I didn't get a chance to pick a virtual background, but why don't you tell the people about your virtual background?
Oh, that's the lament configuration. For anybody who don't know, this is the puzzle box the either pleasure or pain. This is the Hellraiser box right here, baby.
They'll tear your soul apart. Tell me something, Marco. How come there's no black Cenobites, huh?
I think there is a black Cenobite, the Chatterer.
The chatterer was black.
Yep, yep. Now you knew what was the one with the neck that was all open up. You knew that was a white girl. You know, what is she, the throat goat? Like,
See, I knew it was a reason I invited you on the show. But
you know why there ain't no black Cenobites? Because black folks say, no, throw the box and run the fuck away.
yeah, there you
Only,
go.
only the white people want to play with the goddamn box.
Yeah. But anyway, we were supposed to have like quite a few people on the show. A lot of people tapped out. We still may get Dino. He still may join us, I guess. He's out there in the ether somewhere. But the reason I want to do this is because last month we did the top 10 greatest action franchises of all time, which was a ton of fun. You guys hit me to some movies. I hope I hipped you guys to some movies. And I think it was your suggestion, right, that we do horror movies next, right?
Yeah.
So, are you a big horror movie fan?
I'm a horror movie fanatic. I mean, all the way back to the old school '70s movies like Cannibal Apocalypse and stuff like that.
Oh, you like the dark stuff, huh?
Yeah. like it gets. That's what a lot of these horror movies nowadays. I'm like, dude, did you even watch any of the movies from the '70s?
Yeah.
Did you reference?
Right. You're
Like,
doing the same thing that they did, right?
so I'm like, and they had better. They had practical effects,
Yeah.
and their movies is better than your CG.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of movies out. What was the last scary movie that you saw at the movie theater?
See, I don't go to the theaters too much. I think the last scary movie I might have seen in the theater, and it might have been a
Did you
Freddy.
go see 28 Years Later?
No, see, I don't consider those horror movies. I consider those more like an action, sci-fi-ish type movie. They're excellent movies. I
Yeah.
just never saw any kind of horror in them. I'm
Yeah.
not a I'm not a big zombie fan, so I don't see like but I think 28 Days Later and also World War Z
Hmm.
were the two most realistic. If you have to, if you have to go watch a zombie movie, to me they seem the most realistic.
Well, let me tell you, I went to go see 28 Years Later, and it was horrifying how many zombies was running around with their dick out. Uh,
Oh,
there was a ton of naked zombies running around, and one zombie was huge and had this huge schlong, and he's running, and the schlong is slinging, and I'm like, uh, whose idea was that?
yeah, like, of all the things, like the zombies, they don't eat clothes. I mean,
Well, it's
even the
28
Marvel
years later.
zombies. Yeah, even 28 years later,
Yeah.
I got
So all the
jeans that
clothes
I've
have
had
fell
for
off.
28
You know what I'm
years.
saying? They out there in the wild naked, and they've evolved, and some of them are called alphas now. And they're these big, huge, zombie
Man,
people
you ain't
that
got no
are
clothes on. You
basically
ain't no alpha.
unstoppable.
If
Huh?
you ain't got no drawers on, you ain't no alpha. Like I said, even the Marvel zombies kept their clothes on.
Hey, if you're anybody watching out there as a Star Trek fan, the most recent episodes of Strange New World actually did Klingon zombies, which I never thought I would ever see on a Star Trek show. They were on some planet and the plants did something and the Klingons became zombies, and it's actually a really cool episode if you dig zombies and you like Star Trek. I said Star Wars, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.
Um,
Uh,
Here's
Most
one
recent
for you.
episode.
I'm kind of wondering how you feel about it, because certain people put it in the horror movie genre and some put it in the sci-fi genre.
Hmm.
What do you think about the Alien franchise?
Aliens horror movie.
Do you
I
think that's
consider that horror movie.
horror? Because I
What's
mean,
that?
I said, do you consider that horror?
Yeah, it actively is trying to, deliver jump scares. There's some body horror, gore, all of that stuff to me is, you know, indicative of a horror movie. If it was action, it would just be the guns and like I consider Predator more of an action movie, Aliens more of a horror movie, you know.
I,
'Cause
I
Predator ain't trying to jump scare you too much. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Like I said, I'm a horror movie buff, and I've seen a lot of people when they talk about Alien, they see it more of a quote unquote haunted house movie. I just
Hmm.
To me that's more sci-fi. Like I never really could mix the horror with the sci-fi. If it's sci-fi, it's sci-fi. So something weird happened out there.
Yeah, it was tough because like I said, I got a list of a bunch of movies that we're gonna just go through real quick to determine if we can, figure out the top 10 greatest horror franchises of all time. I don't have every horror franchise that ever existed on here, but I have I feel like the most that people will consider top horror franchises. And it was tough. Like, do I consider stuff like Resident Evil or what was the other one with the werewolves and the vampires,
Oh, Underworld.
Underworld? Like, do I
Yeah, I
consider
think
that?
those more fantasy, like the Underworld things. Because I
Yeah,
mean, although I did like them, that wasn't your typical werewolf vampire movie.
yeah,
You know,
right, facts.
like a werewolf movie is like The Howling or a Wolven. Remember all them? Or
Yeah, American Werewolf in London, stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah, stuff like that. That was horror. Even the vampire movies. There's Bram Stoker's, and then there's the Lost Boys, which the Lost Boys is even kind of horror touch and onish.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, it's nothing like Bram Stoker's, where he was up on just sucking blood and turning into werewolves and raping chicks and all that type of stuff. You know
Yeah.
so I mean, eh, you know,
Have you ever seen a horror cartoon that you thought was good?
um, not really. I mean, the cartoon's a cartoon. Now I've seen good, like compelling cartoons. A lot of like, for me, I'm a Marvel movie fan, but
Yeah,
to me, the Marvel animation has something to be said about it. But DC's animation is awesome. Their storytelling in their DC. So a lot of the Batman animated movies and stuff like that.
yeah.
I think they got a lot of horror elements to it. Like what was the one, the Joker, the with the face that looked like the Cenobite.
Yeah, yeah. It's still kind of built for kids though. I'm talking more like, you remember the old heavy metal
Yeah,
cartoon from
yeah,
back in the
yeah.
day? Well, I just watched a great animated, I don't know if horror or sci-fi on Shutter. Shutter is like a
Yeah, I've heard it's supposed to be
oh
the
man.
great movie.
It was a great movie called The Spine of Night.
Huh,
And it actually was that old style animation from, like, He-Man and
like the Hanna
heavy metal.
Barbera era.
Yeah, exactly. And it's super gory. It was just a really good. So if you get a chance, check out Spine
Yeah,
of
I have
Night.
to check it out.
Yeah, if you have a Shutter subscription. So let's jump into this list. Now, what I did was I just simply made a PowerPoint with, like I said, 30 or 40 movies on it. And we're just gonna slide the movies up and down as we see fit, until we have like a top 10. What I consider a franchise is a movie that has three or more parts, or has been remade a couple of times.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some great movies that only have two parts that I was like, do I list this on a franchise list because it only has two parts? Like I don't know if you ever saw the Descent movies.
Yeah,
Uh,
they were decent.
yeah, I love the Descent movies. Or The Hills Have Eyes. Now, the first Has Eyes remake that they did, like in the early 2000s, was really good. The second one, not so much, but I still kind of dug that story. And they are coming out with a Hills Have Eyes Origins. So
Yeah, I heard.
yeah, that one is actually going to be a franchise when that one comes out, I feel like.
See,
But
like the original Hills Have Eyes. I mean, to me, wasn't that scary. I mean, it was decent. It was decent.
oh, the
But
one in the 70s was garbage, in my opinion.
but what used to get me? Do you remember when that was on VHS? Like that movie was on at the video stores, and they had that bald dude, like the one on the cover,
Oh
like
yeah,
that mean looking bald dude.
the
That the
one
only
actor, he was in like a ton of movies back in the 70s because he had that really menacing look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had just that oddball look. Like the only time I ever seen him in anything aside from that was House of a Thousand Corpses.
yeah,
He was with the dude when they were calling the dude a chicken fucker.
yeah.
Yeah,
You can look him up.
that
He's
dude
actually
scared
been in
the
a ton of
shit
movies.
out of me.
I want to say he was Toxic Avenger. Was he Toxic Avenger? I don't know,
Ah,
but I know he's been in a ton of movies, man, because of that crazy look.
yeah,
I just trip out because guys that look like that, I just wonder, how does he pick up women? Like,
very easy with that Benjamin Franklin. He
like
waves
you
a
out at a
Benji.
bar somewhere.
He waves a Benji in front of him, and they come running.
He's at a bar somewhere where Hills Have Eyes face talking about, can I buy you a drink?
But you know Robert England. Robert England ain't no good. I mean, Robert England is Freddy Krueger with or without the mask. You see Freddy Krueger. Like I saw the movie and I didn't see it until later on in life. Galaxy of Terror. If you see that, that's more of a sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah,
It has Captain Spaulding in it. It has uh, Freddy Krueger and Robert England. It
yeah,
has quite a bit. It's got a lot of stars in there before they were stars.
yeah.
And
I'm
no
surprised you
matter
remember
what that
Galaxy
man
of
did,
Terror. I'm
yeah, no
surprised you
matter.
remember that because the thing that got me is when that huge maggot tried to
But
rape
yeah,
that girl.
I didn't want to say it the maggot rape scene.
I know, man, but that was like, why? Like, this maggot was horny.
Well, I watched the breakdown of that movie,
Uh-huh.
and the one thing, like, if you notice, the guy who played Captain Spaulding, he says like literally three words in the whole movie, and it
Okay.
was because he signed for the thing, and then he read the script, and he didn't like the script. He
Yeah.
didn't like any of it, so he cut his part down to just being quiet, and he said like literally three words. Now as far as the maggot thing goes, I guess there was a discussion. They wanted to have a giant maggot, but they also want to have like a gory rape scene, but they didn't have the money for both, so
They
they
mixed
had
them
the
both.
maggot rape the girl.
That was so pointless in that movie, man, because everything else was just like sci-fi, and then all of a sudden a maggot gone.
Yeah,
It was just super stupid.
and then
70s movies, man, was just freaking wow. Just
And
really
then
wow.
again, like the production value was shit on that thing, but just like the image that it put in your head, you knew that thing was fake. You knew everything that was going on was fake, but you was still like,
Hey, don't put my name in that.
ah.
I was like 12 years old when that movie came out. Um, so let's jump into the list because we got quite a few movies here. So, like I said, we're gonna move movies up and down the list as far as like which one is better, which one is worse. Okay. So at the top of my list, and this is no order or anything, I just basically was grabbing movies. The Paranormal Activity horror franchise. Did you dig that franchise or not? Was there any movies that you liked that you thought any of them were good?
um. Well, first of all, I don't know if you realize, but you didn't put paranormal. You put paranoid activity. So that
Oh, I
might,
got Paranoid Activity.
yeah, so that might be a knockoff of it. And now I want to
Yeah,
see
right,
paranoid
right. I
activity.
did not. See, I rushed. I rushed doing it. I was
It be like
rushed
that
doing this
sometimes.
shit.
But paranormal activity. I mean, the first couple were okay. There was actually one that came out with that they came out with at the same time, and it was actually better. It was damn near the same movie, but it was better. It was a little more scary, a little more build up and tension. But the way they took the story and the franchise, it just like they played it out. They played it out. So I feel like the first one, maybe two, was okay. But once they started going into the Mexican kids at the school, and then they went back to the great grandma, and then they was swapping little kids around, and then you had a whole house full of naked old ladies doing
Oh
rituals.
yeah, dude, that one actually freaked me out a little bit, honestly. That I think that was maybe two or three, but that one actually kind of freaked me out a little bit. I actually kind of didn't mind that one so much.
I just the Paranormal Activity, I think, like is bottom tier.
Bottom tier. Okay, we're gonna move that down, and let me just see if I can correct this just super quick. I'm gonna delete that,
I
and
want
we're
to know
going.
if there's a movie called Paranoid Activity now. No.
Well, when stuff comes out and it's good, they always have to do like a parody of it or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that.
or damn near they got to knock it off. Like the Asylum is good for that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So there
And you
goes
see,
paranormal
if
activity.
you notice this picture for that Paranormal Activity that you just pulled up,
Hmm.
looks very similar to that Paranoid
Yeah, I
one.
know, right? That's how they got me. That's how
They,
they
yeah,
got me, man.
they
All right,
just darkened it up.
so paranormal activity. We're gonna move down. The next movie on my list is Jaws. Now, Jaws is had four sequels. Um, and I don't know if you saw them all, but
Yeah,
Jaws 2, I think Jaws 3 I didn't mind so much because that was like the kids of the people that had killed the original Jaws or something like that. No, 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 that was 3D. Jaws 3 was actually a 3D movie. Jaws
yeah.
4 may have been. But anyway, dude, what do you think? Is the Jaws franchise worth greatest of all time, or is
Nah,
just the Jaws
not even
really?
close. I think the biggest thing that Jaws ever did was fuck up the beach.
Yeah,
It just fucked up the beach. Everybody who got a little something popping up out of the water or whatever, they think it's a shark. But like I was never, Jaws was mostly jump scares to me.
yeah,
It was never really a big thing. My parents liked it. But it was kind of like a family movie. We used to all get
yeah.
together. Oh, the new Jaws is on. Did you get 3D glasses? So
what What do you think about the Exorcist franchise? Now, the Exorcist had one, two, three, four, five
yeah, and
sequels, I
then I
believe.
think they might have even tried to do a remake on that too.
They got one out that came out like last year called Exorcist Believers, which was
Yeah,
some bullshit with like they had like two possessed girls, and I think they're doing like a new one that's going to come out towards the end of this year, and I don't know why. You know what I mean? They're so far away from the
the
regular
original,
Exorcist.
yeah.
You know?
We'll see. Like I think Exorcist got to go at least in top five,
Okay,
because not only because of the influence that it gave on other horror movies, because it was like that was groundbreaking back in this day.
facts.
But um, that
Exorcist 3
story
had one of the scariest moments.
in the hospital, the one in the hospital,
Yeah, one of the
yeah, that
scariest
one, that
moments
one.
in
I
movie
was
history.
actually a kid in the hospital, and I watched that movie.
Serious,
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
dude. I couldn't even imagine.
I watched
You
it
know,
by myself on VHS in the hospital bed.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
I've seen some movies steal that scene and try to do something
no,
similar.
I can't nobody do it like that.
I know, right? That was like the first time, and just to how fast it is, and there's no lead up, there's no music building to it, and it just if you haven't seen Exorcist 3, if you're some millennial out there that hasn't seen any of these movies we're about to talk about, go watch Exorcist 3. You'll believe me, you'll know the scene we're talking about because your pants will be full of piss.
yeah, and again, the practical effects that were done. The
Yeah,
practical, like when you look into that priest's face and his eyes, like you like, oh,
yeah,
fuck, like, wait a minute, that shit is real. Like, it was,
yeah, exactly,
I got
exactly.
goosebumps right now talking about it. Like, just so definitely. But ultimately, the original story that was based on
Hmm.
was a true story. It wasn't a little girl though; it was a little boy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And them steps where the dude fell down, broke his neck, whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
Those are real. Those steps still exist. People still go to them steps and like take pictures and shit like that.
That is wild, dude.
Yeah.
That is wild. So the next movie on my list is Conjuring. Now, Conjuring, 5 sequels, 2 spinoffs. They're still doing more. I mean, I feel like this, although some of them haven't been great, I feel like this actually might be top three greatest franchises as far as like just the movies consistently being scary and good. I don't know. How do you feel?
The Conjurings, all of the Conjurings are based on the Warrens.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, if you don't know who the Warrens are, they are, I guess, for you younger ones, the Zach Baggins of our generations. Um, they went and they collected up all the bad shit and they put it away. Now,
Paranormal investigators, basically, right?
yeah,
They're
yeah.
paranoid. Yeah.
If anybody remembers the movie Poltergeist, the midget was actually supposed to be a rendition of Elizabeth Warren. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, the psychic, the little midget
This
lady.
house is clean.
Yeah, that was. And if you ever see like the original, real Elizabeth Warren,
Hmm.
I mean, she was a little bit taller than that midget, but she looked just like that midget.
Wow, that's crazy.
The one thing about The Conjuring, I mean, if you look into the stories and stuff, because all these are real cases that the Warrens did. You
Hmm.
know, they just made movies out of them. But now, if you look into them real cases, um, especially the dad, the husband,
Right.
I forget what the hell his name was. That dude was a piece of shit. And a lot of these stories that were made up, or he was forced to fudge a lot of the stuff. As far as the movies are concerned, they're good movies, and they're going to keep making money because they got a lot of stories. Because that's
Yeah.
all they're doing is pulling from the cases of the Warrens, and there's shit tons of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you see Nun and Annabelle? What do you think of those offshoots?
first of all, you do know Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll, right?
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't look anything like the
Yeah,
movie. Right.
and that's what pulled me out of Annabelle. Because you could have changed the doll. You could have changed that doll to a strawberry shortcake. You could have changed that doll to a Barbie. You could have changed that doll to one of them squishmallows.
Why?
You
Why would
chose,
they do that? They got that creepy ass doll in the
yeah,
movie.
but that's unbelievable. You won't give that to your daughter? Or you won't give that to your daughter? For real, Rob. In real life, that thing looked like
You said it should at least been a little bit cute. Like Chucky was cute at first, right?
that thing scared the shit out of Chucky. I'm gonna just say that. You know, Charles Lee Ray would have been like, "Fuck that." And then and that was the start of the story. That baby doll was supposed to be a gift given. Somebody made that. What kind of demented old man made that ugly, homeless, crackhead looking doll? Put it in a nice dress, and then thought it was okay to give it to my little girl. That
So
poor
I'm taking it you didn't like the movies then.
I mean, the movies were okay, but
Yeah,
what pulled me out of it is like me and when I start digging into rabbit holes of research, then
right.
I'm like, well, this ain't like what it was said over here.
I
Just
didn't
like
like the
that,
I didn't like the first Annabelle movie, but I thought the second one was really good. The origin one.
the one that they talk about Bathsheba.
Uh huh.
Bathsheba did exist, and she wasn't a slave lady, and she wasn't murdering kids or nothing. She actually has in the town that all this supposedly happened. She actually put a lot of kids through school. She had money, and she did a lot of good things.
All right, look at you,
So,
Marco. You the history buff on this stuff.
so yeah, that Bathsheba lady who they try to say was the witch who was stabbing babies in the head, and
Hmm.
she no, that was fake shit.
All right, well, let's go back a little bit. What do you think about Night of the Living Dead? That as a franchise, I think there's more than 9 sequels and remakes to Night of the Living Dead. Do you feel like this is like the grandfather of the zombie genre?
Right.
What do you feel like this belongs on the list of greatest horror franchises?
Um, at first, like I told you before, I'm not a real big zombie fan.
Hmm.
Um, especially the old school ones, because just like, dude, he's like not even walking. He's kind of dragging his leg. Why are you letting him fucking
Yeah,
get
right,
you? What's wrong with you?
right.
I mean, these ain't 28 days later fucking zombies where they just dash at you and bite your face off. These
Yeah,
are like, but
but I think that's what makes it even more scary.
we'll see what.
Because you can't stop it. It's coming at you like super slow, and it's like,
Look, if you
you
can't
know,
get away, again, Rob,
yeah,
I grew up in the hood. We was all of the darker persuasion. We saw something like that. It was either crack or we run it. You know, we
So no
just
way a
run
zombie was
it.
gonna catch your ass, huh?
There ain't no. You know, you maybe a 28 days later one you got to juke side to side, but I can get my car and leave. Yeah, fuck you, dude. But now, like I was saying though, um, I pretty much put these, especially this first one, the black and white one. I
Mhm.
dismissed them all throughout life. You know, after I'd seen them one time, because my parents were the horror movie buffs too. So you know, to everybody, I was just brought up on horror movies.
Okay.
Um,
I'll put it
so
above paranormal but below Jaws. How about that?
nah, I would think because of the significance it made on the whole genre, it should be
Mhm.
up there in the top tier too.
Okay.
And this is why. I recently, within the past year or so, watched it again, just because you know I just do that. You know, it was a movie back in the day. I didn't like it back then. You know, I'm gonna watch it again, see what it was about or whatever, just to refresh up. And I guess I don't know if you would call it um the social issues that it tackles and the different things that it tackles in it um made me rethink the movie.
Okay.
Because if you take the zombie thing out of it, it was basically a big social experiment, and you see how people come out and how they did like the racism and stuff like that. And even at the end, spoiler alert, people, but at the end, like when the black guy made it out, you know, he was trying to make it through, and they just popped it. You know,
Yeah.
he survived all that shit for some racist fuck to just be like pop him. Oh, he was a zombie.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of, you know, after watching that and seeing that, you know, and seeing that this wasn't just about zombies, this had a different message to it. You know, that made me give it more respect and more credit. And you know, I feel like as far as that, putting that and seeing that as an adult, that should go more top tier.
I feel you. Okay. All right. Now the next one is one that you mentioned already, Poltergeist. Poltergeist came out in 1982. Four movies, including sequels and remakes. They remade it, one time. Poltergeist. I'm gonna tell you, man. The first one is one of the scariest movies I think I
The
have seen in
clown,
my
the
time.
fucking clown.
Yeah, yeah.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
That was the original Poltergeist. Was one of the
Nightmares about that
scariest.
clown. I
It's
was
so underrated how scary that freaking movie is.
Yeah, dude. Like the first, even I would say that was the first franchise that I think that I liked the first three of them.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
the
you liked
first,
all three? The first three?
yep,
Okay.
even with the old man, that old man creeped me the fuck out.
Yeah, the Lord is in his temple. Right. That.
That freaked me the fuck out, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, and then when he threw the dude up, like when he was just throwing up, like, and who was
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. You're right.
the actor he played Coach? He played the dad on that.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, excellent, excellent. Because that man could go from, you know, his acting skills could go from the loving dad, portraying the loving dad, to like the schizophrenic nut job, like out of nowhere.
I love it. I love it.
So I
All right.
think I think Poltergeist should be up there in the top tier. Um,
Okay.
Evil Dead, as much as I like it, you know, I've always loved the Evil Dead. I never saw it as scary. It was more of a gore fest. It was more of that, ooh, like when they stuck the pencil in the chick's ankle. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah. And the guy
Or
looked at her ankle and then looked at her face, and her face was like, ah.
now that the original Evil Dead was another one that set a lot of standards and broke a
Yeah.
lot of did a lot of breakthroughs too. As far as horror though, I was never afraid of any of them.
The
Um,
last Evil Dead that they did was they did really well. Where
the
it was
one
the
in the
mom,
apartment,
yeah, with the mom and the kids. I thought they really did a great job with that. It was back creepy again. It was a ton of surprises, stuff that you didn't expect, stuff that happened in the original Evil Dead. It had that same kind of Evil Dead kind of feeling. It got silly with the ash and the you know uh uh chainsaw hand and all
yeah,
that bullshit. I felt like those got kind of silly. But that last Evil Dead was back to let's be scary, let's be unpredictable, let's kill some people unexpectedly. Like I think one of the kids died, right? Like
yeah.
yeah, the kids didn't make it, and I that always gets me, man, when a horror movie decides, yeah, we're gonna kill a kid in this one. You know what I mean?
See, that's it. Keeping that in mind, I'm curious. I'm going through the list. I want to see if a franchise that I find that is a very underrated franchise. and it actually started in a different franchise and evolved into its own. If you're gonna have it on the list,
Okay, let's go. Let's keep going
I'm
then.
waiting to see. Yeah.
So the next one I have on the list is the Scream
Nope.
franchise.
Nope. Nope.
No, really?
No. Not even the first one was scary. Like, not that was a teeny bopper popcorn movie.
All right,
All of them.
I'll move Scream down then, because you're right. It did try to be more kind of wink, nod, wink, wink. Yeah, we making a smart horror movie. That, you know what I'm saying? It was like the movie for the people that were too
Never
smart
have
for slasher
sex
movies.
and don't say I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah, it was a
I'll
lot
be
of like.
right back. Yeah, shut down.
I did
Shaggy
put
was one of the killers. I
I
mean,
did put Aliens on here because Alien, it has 6 sequels. There's a TV series coming out. I feel like that this is like true horror. The last Alien movie was a really good mixture. Romulus was a really good mixture of old-fashioned alien horror and that, from part 3 with the or part 2 or whatever with the military rangers. I felt like it was a good mixture of action and horror. So I don't know if you saw Romulus. Was it Romulus?
I didn't see Romulus. I played the video game. Wasn't a fan. But I think what lost me on the whole Alien franchise, like, and it had so much potential when they started with Prometheus and going after that. We figured we was going to get an origin story. You added the creators, whatever the hell their names were, and then here it was just the Wayland dude. It was they made it the cyborg dude, and then the cyborg dude wanted to be a god, and then they ruined. If they were gonna keep a crossover or leave it with the Predators, because I hear that they're still doing the Predator universe.
Yeah,
And
Predator has a movie that just came out. The one where the Predator is on a planet by himself or whatever.
it
Uh,
hasn't come out yet. It didn't come out. Badlands.
Badlands, yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't
Oh,
come out yet.
that Predator cartoon is amazing.
Yeah, dude. I think it was you who told me about it or something.
Okay.
I watched 3/4. I didn't get to watch the last segment of it.
Yeah.
But I was in trance. Like, I was almost late to a show. I started playing it and I was like, I couldn't stop fucking watching.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. If you get it, I don't know why a lot of more people are not talking about it. That Predator cartoon, man, is like freaking. It's
what
good
else
as
I
hell.
found? It was very good, and it went back to. I mean, it kept the spirit of the Predator, because I think that show Predators with Lawrence Fishburne
Yeah.
I think they kind of, it was all right, but it wasn't. I don't know. I didn't feel it didn't feel like a Predator movie to me.
I feel you.
But like that movie Prey,
Yeah, Prey was better than I thought. I thought it was a little woke. Yeah, hey, let's take a girl with arrows and put her up against a 7 foot tall killing machine,
well, I mean,
and make her. You know what I mean? But it was still cool.
if you look at Predator versus Aliens, damn near the same thing. Only it was New Age.
Mm-hmm.
And that girl didn't have a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Remember, because she was in the comic books, that was actually kind of pulled from the comic books. That chick was one of the first. They called her a Yautja, but she wasn't a predator. She was considered one of the hunters.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't mind it. I mean, once I saw it, I kind of got it. But when I first saw the preview, I was like, oh, how is a 95-pound girl gonna beat a goddamn killing machine from another planet? The movie starts with the predator killing a freaking bear with his bare hands. And I'm like, how is this woman gonna beat it? But as the movie goes, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So
Hell yeah, she had that. Her dog was sweet too.
yeah. How about Insidious, the Insidious franchise?
I'm not gonna lie, like they didn't even. I caught no interest.
Serious?
I never even watched any of them. Wait. I think, is this the one? Because I think I might have watched the beginning of it. Is this the one where everybody's on the tree and then the tree goes up and it hangs to everybody?
No, that might be different. This is the one where that demon wants this boy. It's like a red demon from another dimension.
Yeah, it looked like Darth Maul.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. That's the reason why I didn't watch it. I'm like, Darth Maul's haunting this kid. I'm like, come on. After
they had that creepy
2.5
or singing "Tiptoe Through the Tulips," tiptoe through the tulips.
Yeah, it wasn't. I figured it was, to me, it felt like a knockoff of the Conjuring things because they came all at the same time. So I didn't even give it a chance. So I can't
Okay.
even.
All right. Where we putting a classic, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, the original, of course, is a undisputed classic, but as a franchise,
Who?
considering all the remakes and the reboots and all of that shit.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre then went through some ups and downs. The newest one, I have to admit, is pretty decent.
I didn't mind that one.
The
People
newest
hated
one,
it, but they did something I've been wanting Leatherface to do for the longest. He went on a bus with his chainsaw and went crazy on about 30 people.
yeah, just social media people, they all
Yeah.
got they. We gonna cancel you. We gonna cancel. Like, you don't see your dude just got cut in half. You think this is a joke?
Dude, that's one of the greatest scenes
Yeah.
to me in a horror movie that I've seen in a minute. And people are still hating on that movie. Now I get it, they didn't like, some of the stuff, as far as like the setup and all that. But I thought that was one of the greatest scenes ever where people are literally holding up their phones like, you better not hit us with that chainsaw. And he just goes bananas and just rips the whole bus apart. I love that
Personally,
scene.
I like the new Texas Chain, especially the way it ended, because it had a real realistic ending. You libtard, you wanted this electric vehicle that drives by itself? Now, chopped your sister up right in front of you. You can't do dick. Bye bye. Just drove away. All you can do is just look at your sister getting fucked up in the background.
But would you rate it as a franchise? Would you rate it like top 10?
Um, like, although, like, I mean, I feel like, just like with Exorcist and with like Night of the Living Dead, it had a big significance on the whole genre.
Yeah,
Because
facts.
there's plenty to this day people are knocking off. It's different things that happen with Leatherface. I mean, even Rob Zombie, who a lot of characters of Rob Zombie's movies were in the Texas Chainsaw movies. Um, Even he knocks off a lot of, like a House of a Thousand Corpses and
Oh yeah,
Devil's Rejects and all them. You could tell the influence from um,
Texas
the
Chainsaw.
Texas
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre. As far as being good quality movies, the very first one being practical and being as simplistic as it was, people see it as a scary movie, but it's not a gory movie. Like, if
Yeah.
you realize there's not that very much blood at all in the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's
It's implied,
implied,
right?
right?
When
And
he
then
hangs the girl on a hook, or when he's
yeah,
chopping up the cripple guy in the wheelchair,
or
you
when
really
the
don't.
dude gets smacked in the head with the hammer, they got the old
Yeah,
man in there, that, and that's terrifying. That's horrifying. But
right.
now, have you ever seen Texas Chainsaw Part 2? Well, that that movie, um, it amped up the gore, but I mean, the acting and
It was
production
silly.
value. What's what?
Yeah, it was silly. They did a part 3 with Matthew McConaughey, I think.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was even worse.
Yeah, dude, that was a piece of shit. They didn't get good until they started remaking them in the early 2000s. I think they had what's her name? Jennifer Beal? No, what's her name?
Yeah, yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. Dark haired girl. She was
Jessica,
so fine.
Jessica something. But she had a real sweet body, it's like,
Yeah, that's the
she was,
one where she inherited the house, right? And her and her friends, and she
I
had,
think so. I think so.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
With
her.
that.
At the end of it, it was what was the catchphrase? Do your thing, cuz. And she kicked the chainsaw over to Leatherface.
Oh yeah, no, that one is okay. So they remade it, but like in the early 2000s. That came like in the 2010s, I think.
Or are you
The one
talking
that you're
about the
talking
one where
about.
the chick had the gun in her hoo ha?
Yeah.
Dude, that was the stupidest. Look, man, I can understand you're trying to get edgy or whatever,
Yeah.
but first of all, did you see the size of that gun? See the size and you saw the size of that girl. That
Right.
girl was walking down the road with a dirty Harry gun in her hoo ha. No,
Impossible.
yeah, yeah. No, that just
All right, let's jump to a few more. We got about 20 minutes left. Um, Hellraiser. Now the
Oh,
first one is a classic. They've made I don't know how many of these, like maybe
there are
10,
there's 12 of them.
12 of them.
The last one, or yeah, well, with the remakes and shit like that, there's 12 so far because they made a female Pinhead for a quick minute. Um, Hellraiser, I mean, to rate them, they all kind of go together. That's one thing I was kind of glad with. Even though a lot of them seem like they're horror movies that they just or dramas that they threw Pinhead in.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that are like that, but they kind of kept the same continuity. They kept the box. They kept, kind of the same, um, I guess, premise of everything.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
like the
like,
story of the last movie, like you said, with the female pinhead, but I just didn't feel like it was executed well for whatever reason. I don't know. I felt like something was missing after I watched it, and I don't
right.
know what it was. Yeah.
See, like I got that with a lot. Like after two, like they started getting kind of, there was Pinhead in space. There was Pinhead.
Yeah. Right. In the
Had,
past, they did one where
they had Pinhead at the disco. They had, but the
well,
one
no, no,
that
no. But remember, three was Hell on Earth. So the pinheads came on Earth, or the Cenobites. Remember, they
yeah,
had the one guy who had CDs that could come
yeah,
out.
yeah, that was the one at the disco.
Yeah, yeah, that was three, I think. But then four is when they started doing all kind of crazy,
Yeah, with
in the
the
past and
Rainbow
the future.
Tron, and they did. I mean, the one in space, they did it. They broke it down. It was kind of an origin story. So you saw how the box was made and why the box was made, even
Yeah,
though it still didn't really make sense. Um, but it kind of did the origin story, and then it kind of flashed forward. And I like when they brought Angelique into the whole mix too.
mhm,
Even though there's a lot of continuity errors with Angelique and Pinhead. But honestly, after the second one, I kind of fell off with it. And then Hellraiser Judgment, the last
yeah,
one that they made,
yeah,
that one is fire, dude. I watched that thing. I could watch it right now. I could watch it. I mean, just to me, it was put together good. It had a
yeah,
good premise and everything. It had a good, like, just the shit was like, it felt like old school Hellraiser, but it didn't have too many Cenobites in it. It didn't have, like the Chatterer. It didn't have the fat dude. It didn't have the chick with the vagina in her neck. It
yeah,
was pretty much, it was Pinhead, and it was I forget what his name was, but it was a dude in a black suit and glasses, and he's like, you can tell he's dead.
yeah,
But
yeah. The
the
butcher,
premise
I think
is,
the butcher was in that one too, though.
I think uh I think the premise was pretty much, Pinhead was talking to the dude and was like, everybody finds their pleasure in the internet, and everybody finds their pleasure in all this other stuff.
Hmm.
So they started um pretty much leading pedophiles and stuff like that to that house
Yeah,
and
that abandoned house. Yeah,
and they were judging them.
yeah,
And
and ripping them
in the
apart in the
midst
house. Yeah,
in the midst of it, there's a story, the side story of the two cops that are brothers, and they're trying to solve this murder case. And
hmm,
then at the end of it, it all comes together. It was an excellent movie.
yeah.
Um,
Okay,
but I mean, I
I'm
feel
moving
like
ahead up a little
Pinhead
bit
should
for you
be
though.
up there at the top with. And I mean, we all know Jason and Michael Myers and Freddy are all,
Yeah, we're
those.
gonna get to those. They're a little bit further down the list. I don't know. I put Amityville Horror on here because the very first one was like scary as shit to me, but I was like 8 when it came out.
Another one, all the way at the Amityville horrors were based on Warren's stories too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, all the way to like the third, all the way to the 3D one.
Yeah.
That whole shit there, that was the Warrens. That was all the Warrens.
Wow, I did
They
not know that.
actually went in there and they were doing the whole, supposedly they were trying to catch people who were faking it. But then again, if you look into the history and the background of the Warrens, most likely they were the one doing it. Um,
Okay.
the original story that did happen, because it was based on a true story too. Um, the DeFeo dad who killed the family, uh,
Yeah.
he had issues. He was on dope, and he had other, he owed people money and shit. So when money magically disappeared, it was the demon. Or when he did this, he was either drunk or fucked up, and he was beating on his family. So I mean, when you go back to it, yeah, maybe that kid should have fucking killed them motherfucker. I
Right.
don't know about killing your brother and your sister and your mama, but I mean, you take out the head of the snake,
Yeah, yeah, you got the history down on these, Marco. Pumpkinhead was a very underrated franchise, I
Yeah.
thought. I
I
really
mean,
like those Pumpkinhead movies.
the very first one, I remember seeing the very first one in the theater.
Hmm.
Like, I remember that. And that movie, I mean, especially the old lady, come on, Ed.
Yeah, right.
Holly. And then, like, they started getting a little cheesy afterward, but they never let the cheese stack up like some of these other movies.
It's scheduled to be remade. I've always thought that this, because it deals with witchcraft and monsters and stuff, I felt like it was a good movie to be like a remake, and it looks like they are doing some sort of a remake that may come out next year. But
I hope they don't change
Lance
the look.
Hendrickson is in this movie. He's an underrated horror movie franchise actor, and just does a great job with. I think he loses his kid in the first one,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
has to, you know, the Pumpkinhead is basically a vengeance demon that you can sick on people.
yeah. The whole thing of it is the only way it can be stopped is if you kill yourself or
Right,
somebody kills
exactly,
you. So
exactly.
the thing goes on. Like, if you told it to go after this particular person, it ain't gonna stop it till that person's dead. And
Yeah,
whoever is in its way, and just the look of Pumpkinhead, like
yeah,
the whole look. I mean, like, even when the practical effects of it coming to life, and then he brought that just bag of bones, and it looked like shit, and threw it on that lady table, and she cut his hand open and poured the blood on it, and then
yeah,
like, if they are gonna remake it, I hope they don't change the look of him, because that
yeah,
is absolutely horrifying monster look.
yeah, exactly. Love it. Are you putting Child's Play in your top 10, the Chucky, or did they get too comedy
No,
over the
no,
years?
no. Especially after Chucky was fucking. Was it that the chick with the squeaky voice?
Oh, the female Chucky doll,
Yeah,
the Bride
yeah.
of Chucky.
And then they switched it over, and they had a son who was transsexual, and then the real actress got killed and possessed by the girl Chucky, and then when they remade it, it was just an AI Chucky. Well, you just took the scariness out of it. Like, now I can kill Chucky with a virus. I mean, come on.
Child's Play is not top 10 to you?
Nah, I mean, even how you gonna let a little 2 foot dog come at you with a knife? I mean,
Ah,
look, man.
well, how about the Friday 13th franchise? That got to be top 10.
I just like I
I
can't
know
even
there's a lot of bad ones, but
I can't even say that it contributed a lot to the genre, because it was a knockoff of Halloween. Um, if you look
mm,
at if you hear the director's cuts, and the people talking behind the scenes and shit, um, they didn't even know that this movie was gonna be what it was. They had a name. If you look into the making of this, the production company was like, we need to make a scary movie that's gonna compete with Halloween.
yeah.
Somebody was like, I need some names, and they threw names out there, and it was like, well, Friday the 13th. He was like, well, I can make something out of this movie, and that's where it started.
Dude, there were a absolute ton of slasher movies out around this time. Some of them I felt like were actually better. They made this movie called The Prowler, where this guy was killing people with a pickaxe, that I thought was actually better than the original Friday the 13th. Because
Well,
remember, in the original Friday the 13th, it was the mom killing people. It
right,
wasn't
right, right.
actually.
And that's what kind of gave it its little bit of specialness. A
Yeah,
lot of people say that it was one of the first horror movies to take it, instead of the killer coming to your place or your house or going through your neighborhood, you were out in the woods. And
yeah.
they said they did that on purpose because it was cheaper. You didn't need set designs, you didn't need this or that. It was
Oh,
a lot
just put a bunch
cheaper
of
to
stuff in the
film it
woods.
out in the
Okay.
woods.
Yeah.
Now, once they went over, like, especially in part two, you can see where they knocked off the town that dreaded sundown, which was also a true story about a
Yeah.
dude in Australia who kills people every so often. He got the burlap bag over his head.
Yeah.
Um, Now, for that time and for the age group that was shooting for, that was shooting for preteens to teenage kids. So yeah,
Mhm.
I was a younger kid. I was like maybe 10 when the first and second one came out, if not younger. Yeah, it was scary to me. But as I got older, I mean, I'll go and watch a Jason movie. just like the Freddy versus Jason, because they were just movies that I grew up on. But it's not
Mhm.
because they're good movies whatsoever.
Okay. All right, but as a franchise though, do you think it's a top 10 franchise
Franchise
though?
is $1 million franchise, if not a
Yeah.
$1 billion franchise.
We'll move
Just
it up
like
a
the
little bit.
Halloweens, and just like like the Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street. I feel the same way for them. The Halloween, I mean, even it has its knockoffs, and I think if they would have went with the original storyline with the Cult of the Thorn,
Yeah.
it would have stayed, it would have stayed consistent and better, and it wouldn't have went to like with Busta Rhymes beating up Michael Myers, and then they totally eliminated a whole chunk and went back to number two, and then that like number three was one of the unspoken heroes of that whole franchise, and that's just coming out now, whereas everybody hated it back in the day because it didn't have Michael Myers in it.
Yeah, the Day of the
But
Witch or whatever. Season of
yeah,
the Witch, whatever it was called.
now, if they would have kept the premise of the Thorn cult, then that would have bled. That would have went right together with number three, and you wouldn't have been, it would have been no wiser, because that
Yeah.
was about the cult, and it was worshiping the pieces of Stonehenge, and they was killing children over the Halloween, the Samhain.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean that as far as scariness is concerned. I never found any of the Halloween scary, but as far as the franchises, again, you can't get a better one. The
Yeah.
Halloween. I mean, the Halloween was top notch, even if that's not the best killer,
Right.
that was number one.
To me, Halloween 2 is very underrated, to me. Even though it's kind of like rehashing the first Halloween, number one.
Yeah.
Number one really is slow. It's very slow until about 40 minutes into the movie. So I really like Halloween 2, and I feel like people need to talk about that one more, because it gets right to it. Jamie Lee is in the hospital. Michael Myers shows up and he's chasing her through the hospital. I just thought part two actually got to it a little bit quicker and was a little bit better. So like some really suspenseful parts there too.
So
But
I got a question for you. How do
mhm.
you feel about the Rob Zombie Halloween?
I really liked the first one. I thought he had a good kind of take on it. Um, but I don't know. I think it when it went into him dreaming, like was he dreaming? Was he imagining his mom or something, some shit like that? It was like the whole thing that was driving him was like some
With the
sort of a
with the white horse,
fantasy, huh?
with the white his mom and the white horse.
Yeah, yeah, that kind of was like, huh? But I didn't mind the first one. I thought the first one,
I
Michael
thought,
Myers had the perfect look. He had a
yeah.
big, just brutal, huge knife. I thought the first one was pitch perfect, but the second one just kind of went way off the rails.
Here's a little bit of a trivia for you. Sabretooth,
Yeah,
Tyler Mane.
Tyler Man. Yeah,
Yeah, that's Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie movies.
I can believe it. I like that look that he had, man. He looked freaking
And the
unstoppable.
brutalness. That's the way I honestly think Rob Zombie's take on Michael Myers, especially in the first one,
Yeah.
was what I would have envisioned a Michael Myers to
Yeah.
be.
I even love the poster where the poster is him with the knife drawn
Yeah.
back and
So, like the way they actually went into the kid's psyche. I mean, they didn't spend too much time on it, but you saw that little kid, and then you saw the pain in that little kid's eyes when he's like, "I just want to go home." And then when his mom fucking killed her, like that was the first role that I seen Baby play that
Yeah,
wasn't some trash nut job or whatever. And
right.
she actually, to me, as the mom, played a very good part. I mean,
Yeah.
she played that, that woman that just had it. She has the shitty boyfriend, the teenage daughter who's a slut. She got a son that has problems, and she's trying to hold the family together. And then all of a sudden, this fuck shit happens, and she just lost her shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I didn't mind that one. Rob Zombie gets a lot of shit for that movie, but I didn't mind that one. We're gonna move kind of quick through these. We got about 10 minutes left. So the Howling, I just threw this one on here because the first one, because of the practical effects were so good. I think they did like four parts to this
Uh,
that just got worse and worse and worse.
Although there was one with the chick who was like at the end show, they just kept showing her shirt getting ripped off.
Yeah,
Remember? I
yeah,
forget what the hell her name was. Like the story behind that is they didn't know they was gonna do that. Like that girl didn't know that, and
Okay.
she had a fit, and the fact that they just kept doing it over and over. I mean, you don't know how many times as a kid, as a preteen, I don't watch just rewind VHS, like boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
I can honestly say the sex scene in The Howling, I feel like that may have been the first time I saw a woman's bush, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you remember the sex scene in the first Howling where they have sex in the
Yeah,
forest.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
that."
remember the sex scene with the marsupial one?
No, I didn't. I think I saw that one and I just immediately
Oh, dude,
just brushed it out of my
the
memory. It
chick
was I
got
thought,
6 titties, dude. The chick like
yeah, yeah, I
she
was like,
acts
ah.
like a dog, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, they really did it doggy style, literally, literally. Hills Have Eyes, I put on here just because it had a remake, but really only two parts. You know, I enjoyed the remake that they did, part one. Part two, not so much, but the theme song was like super creepy. I enjoyed the
it's got
trailer
a good
more than the
premise.
movie.
It's got a good premise. They got something to work with it there. They just
Yeah,
need they need to either go all the way with it or leave it the fuck alone.
they have a Hills Have Eyes Origins on deck to possibly come out in the next year or so. So they are doing like one more part that will turn this into a franchise as well at some point. But you know, I just like I said, I just threw it on a list because I enjoyed the first one. You know,
That
um, I know what you did last
oh,
summer. I think it's just
that's another scream.
yeah, exactly. They just redid another one, so I figured I'd put it on the list.
Yeah.
Final Destination, I think, is really underrated. It's just guilty fun, though. You just want to see people die in just the most creative ways.
I'm not
It's
gonna lie, that first one had me. The very first one had me.
yeah,
Especially when dude locked himself in a house and he had like the things wrapped around his hands.
yeah, right, right,
Dude,
yeah,
that was like my peak, teenage years when I was getting stoned constantly. I'm like, oh my
yeah,
god, there's something inside here. I gotta sit right here. I gotta sit.
yeah. Final Destination, man, and the most recent one that they did a really good job on it. It's more of an action movie than anything, but some really great practical effects. They put in the CGI with some of the deaths make it looks like you really are watching somebody getting ripped to shreds, man. It's crazy, but they did a really good job with the most recent Final Destination. This is a interesting one here. Saw. What do you put Saw as a horror franchise?
See, I saw more of a suspense movie.
Not
I, I
necessarily horror.
I never really saw any scarinesses in the saws. It actually made me love escape rooms.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
yeah, I love doing escape rooms. It's hard to find somebody who wants to do the real ones. Like I like real escape rooms. Like you get chained up inside a dark room or whatever, and you got to figure your way out. Because in my mind, that's survival training. Where I live, that shit is possible. This y'all might
Exactly.
y'all might think it's a movie, but from where we come from, that shit. People get locked in the basement. People get people
Yeah.
disappear in the woods. So yeah, that's survival training to me. That made me that gave me more critical thinking in different situations.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a few more. Kind of just a quick. We got the Omen on here. That while it is a franchise, it probably shouldn't be. You know, they remade it twice. They rebooted it twice, and neither time it worked. You know, they actually had a TV series called The Omen.
Yeah, my
And,
mom used my mom used to like that, and I actually tried to rewatch it like I did with Land of the Living Dead, and the Omen's just it was stupid, man. And
yeah,
I mean, the best part of the movies was the Rottweilers.
yeah, they did a prequel that has really high ratings on IMDb,
Hmm.
where it talks about the woman who actually had the original baby or something like that, I guess.
Well, that it was kind of a knockoff of Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, yeah, they kind of use some of the same, circumstances, the cult or whatever,
Yeah,
you know. So, but yeah, I actually saw that one and I actually didn't mind that one. That one actually was really good. But the Omen as a franchise, I would probably put that just outside of my top 10, honestly, because I did like Omen and Omen 2, where he goes to that boarding school
Yeah.
and the kids is fucking with him and he's killing the kids and don't even realize he's killing them.
And then the Omen 3 was when he became a politician, and Damien Thorne.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I can barely remember that one, but I do remember two. Let's jump forward a little bit.
Oh, no, because I see it right there.
Which
Right there. These are, nope, the Terrifier.
Terrifier? Yeah, that's what I was about to go to.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
like the Terrifier series?
Yeah, I feel like the Terrifier series are very underrated.
Really?
Very. Look, I found out about the Terrifier series through a buddy of mine because he knows I like watching the horror movies, and I'm like, none of these. He's like, Mark, watch the Terrifier. What, dude? I mean, I got 3 Art the Clown outfits. I was Art the Clown for Halloween last year. I had a show to do, and it got canceled. So I just went bar hopping with that outfit on, freaking people the fuck out.
Dude, the last one was so bad though.
Just it ain't even like the Terrifier movie, the franchise. I look at more of. That's one of the few movies I don't look at the plot. I don't look at the story of anything because look at what the fuck is happening right in front of you right now.
Okay.
I mean, and then the fact that a lot of people don't know it. There's not 3 Terrifiers. There's, I believe, 5 of them.
Well, there's a short that features Art the Clown.
Well,
and
it started with Trick or Treat.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when they showed the basics, they showed kind of a little bit of an origin on Art the Clown because they had it with the devil. Remember when the devil was raping that chick, and then there was them imps going around and stuff, and then the Art came and killed them kids upstairs.
Okay.
Through the TV. But then after that, then there was the short, and they showed and they talk about it. If you listen to the radio stuff on the Terrifier, the first Terrifier movie, they talk about it, about the girl being picked up from the side of the road. She was an artist or actress or something, and then Art was fucking with her and shit. And then from there, then the first Terrifier comes in.
Wow.
Okay. It goes through all the rest of them. So you just in the evolution, none of it makes sense. None of it. It's just this brutal fucking thing that just. Yeah. I mean, you don't know whether he's alive or whether he's not. And then sometimes it ain't even him. It's just the trauma that he put somebody through that made them fucking flip out.
Yeah.
I mean, now the Terrifier 2, I truly was kind of disappointed in. Because I mean, it didn't really do it for me. I had to do a lot of research and even figure out what the hell was going on. Like that little girl did have a significance. Like if you see if you pay attention in the first one, that lady that was with the baby doll in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that was her mom. That was that little girl's mom.
Oh, wow.
Art the Clown killed that little girl. So that was like he was a demon going after these people, but that was the demon's demon. So she wasn't really there to help him. She was tormenting him.
I see.
But yeah, I feel like it's a very underrated franchise, and I hear there's going to be another one come Christmas time.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of the movies on here are not necessarily great franchises, just stuff that I've seen and thought was pretty interesting. Wrong Turn is kind of like, Friday the 13th knockoff. I really enjoyed the Wrong Turn series. I don't think it's top 10 though.
See, I feel like the Wrong Turns were more Hills Have Eyes-ish.
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, exactly. The Phantasm series.
Those were all right. I don't see them as scary per se. But they were an interesting movie. It was like, they had their dumb parts, but then you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck just happened just here?
The very first one has one of the top scary moments in movies of all time when the guy busts through the mirror at the end.
Yeah. Angus Scrim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's considered one of the greatest scary movie moments of all time. Now, kind of like at the end of Carrie when the arm grabs, the girl.
Did you by chance see the last Phantasm, the Ravager?
Yeah.
That threw me a little bit. It was like, but to me, if you were going to do kind of like a multiverse type deal,
Yeah.
then they kind of did it pretty good. I mean, Marvel maybe need to fucking look at that movie.
I
But I
feel
mean,
like they need to bring Phantasm back, like completely reimagined, because it's cool, man. The balls that float and chase your ass and kill you, and the tall man, and all of
well,
that
when
stuff
you
just needs
found
to
out
be
that they was
reimagined. You know?
when you found out that he was just shipping people to Tatooine and making Jawas out of them,
Yeah,
that was
that was
kind of
kind of stupid.
that
You
was
know,
kind of
I'm like,
weird. I was like, you just okay, all right.
yeah.
But
Some of
yeah,
these
the
other
ball
ones are
with the
pretty
drills and
stupid.
shit shooting the blood was crazy.
Some of these other ones are pretty stupid, but I do want to mention the VHS franchise. The VHS franchise has been very hit or miss because they're all anthologies. You know, you get a movie and it's like 5 or 6 little shorts
Right.
in them, but some of those shorts are like really good. The most recent one that I saw, VHS Beyond, I was really impressed with because it talks more like about like alien, like a lot of the stuff had to do with like aliens or spiritual kind of monsters and stuff like that, and I thought it was really well done. So if you get a chance to watch some of the VHS series,
I
I feel like that is a
two
really
of
good
'em.
series too.
Again, I didn't see them as scary movies, but I seen them more of like those movies like you put this on and you're like, oh shit.
Found footage,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
It's like you're like, well, what's going on there? Like
Yeah, it's really one of the last of the found footage franchises that is still around. You know what I mean? Because you had what's the one where the girl was in the woods, and the witch was trying to get him? I think you froze, Marco. Yeah, I think you froze. But anyway, just one of the better found footage franchises. I think the first one has a couple of classics, and every one of the movies, although they're not great movies as a whole, has at least one short story that's pretty good. So there you have it. I don't think we're going to go much longer than this, but I don't know if we know we have a solid top 10 list, but I think we have a pretty good one. We'll recap maybe at another show, but I think this was done pretty well, guys. What did you think about the top 10 horror franchises of all time? Tap in with a comment for me. Send me something back. Let me know if you want to participate on another show. Maybe give me an idea, something that you would like to see us debate on Are You Serious debate show. Marco, are you back?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, you froze up for a second.
yeah. I was
But
like, what the hell?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap up, man. We're about almost 10 minutes over. But I think this was a lot of fun, man. And
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't,
always a pleasure, man.
yeah, I didn't know you knew this much about horror movies, man. We got to talk more often about some of the scary stuff.
Oh yeah, horror movies and the comic book movies and documentaries on aliens or religion, dude.
There you
That's
go.
predominantly when I'm not doing research on my shows. That's what I watch.
We had one person watching the whole time, so I don't know if that's somebody that's still watching, but thank you for watching the whole time. I really appreciate it. And anybody else that tapped in, man, thank you guys for watching. We're going to keep doing these. And like I said, feed me your suggestions. I've been comedian Rob Coleman, and that's Marco Torres. Anything you want to plug real quick, Marco?
Not just come and check us out on Upside Down Studios. We got What the Fuck Wednesday coming up Wednesday. I think when we wrap this up, I'm gonna jump on with Dino and Cole for Life of Giants, and then Thursday we got Mental Health, and on Saturday we got Hammered and Cheese. Whenever we got some live shit going on, me or Rob, we got it posted.
Make sure to follow that man because he's all over the internet. But thank you guys for tapping in. This has been Are You Serious? Make sure to tap in next month for another episode. Thank you guys.
Yep, great time, bro.
All right, let me go ahead and end this, and we are done.